Hello to the empty void. Ninja Gaiden is upon us again. For one of the last times, actually, because we're technically caught up. We haven't played Ninja Gaiden X because that's a Lost Media Japanese cell phone game, which we will be looking at a playthrough of. It's only like 5 minutes long. But today, what we are looking at is the canceled Ninja Gaiden prototype for Sega Genesis. Sega was going to make a third Ninja Gaiden game. For whatever reason, it got canceled, never came out, but there is a prototype. So we're going to go ahead and play through this. Reset this, and we'll get going. This intro is in Japanese, but the rest of the text in the game is English. Very Genesis sound to this game. I think I'm going to lower the audio for this because this seems louder than most of the stuff we've been looking at. Usually have it at -9. I'm going to go ahead and do -12. I also need to lower this on my end because this is like blowing my ears out. There we go. I've got it at half on my end. Huma, or Homa? Did it change, or did I just read it wrong the first time? Whoever did this soundtrack went off, jeez. Whoever wrote this English text, not so much, though. And be right back. All right. Let's get this started. So this is very much more in vein with, like, the arcade game than any of the home games. Keep this all at default. So this is unreleased. I'm not too worried about playing this quote-unquote legit. You know, they presumably didn't fully balance this, so it never got to release. Talk to Brute at the Bronx. Oh, at the boxing gym. Jim J-I-M, that's very funny. But Falmouth cuts himself off. Here's this guy, for some reason. Alright, so yeah, you have a basic 3-hit melee. You do not have the, like, grapple like in the arcade game. You just have a jump kick. If you double tap, you do this roll. And then with the C button, you do these special moves that take health. you try to get somebody else. If you roll and hit the C button, you do this like spin thing. Seems pretty good, but again, you lose health for that. I'm also playing with a control hack because in the unpatched version, since this was incomplete, you apparently always move diagonally. And so this, as far as I'm aware, the only change it makes is fixing it so that you can move in straight up, straight down, in addition to the diagonals. Well, this roll, you do this by double tapping, but there is such a huge window on it still in this prototype that you wait like a full second before hitting it and you still end up rolling on accident. It's interesting that they went back to like the arcade game with this one. Again, this is super loud. I be cautious and lower this a little more still. I've got it at minus 14 now. And so this is like straight out of the arcade game, these train tracks. Oh, and you do have the up jump and the down jump. This is the exact screen I stopped playing at when I was testing this earlier. And my favorite log guy, he's back. But now I don't have the flip to beat him with. Yeah, straight up, this is very much the arcade game, which is interesting that they would go back to the arcade game for inspiration for this one. I'm not sure if the sword is like a power-up in the arcade game. Maybe it is. I'm pretty sure the ones in the upper left are just lives. If there is a way to use the sword, I've not figured it out yet. Log guys at least seem easier to deal with in this than in the arcade game. How many of these guys am I gonna have to beat up before I can move on? Oh, that's the end of the level, I guess. And then this, another, pretty sure this is in the arcade game too. I definitely remember these helicopter guys. Also, I know that this is not, well, I had to kill myself to move on there, but okay. I know that this is not complete. There are like debug options in this ROM still to just flag the level is cleared. Like we might not be able to get past this, seems like. Mess around here for like a little bit, but I don't think this box up here is where to go. I think this just, they didn't program the flag. So if you pause and you hit C, it'll just say round cleared, which you apparently have to do in a lot of spots in this. So I guess you would have fought the sumo again like in the arcade game. feel bad for whoever composed this, because they really went off. This is some classic Genesis OST. Anyway, so I watched the Ninja Gaiden OVA this morning, and it wasn't super interesting, so I figured I'd just talk about it while going through this. It's about Ryu, who is now living in America for whatever reason. Seems to be set after the whole NES trilogy. He gets, like, randomly attacked by some thugs in the streets of New York, and then goes back to the, like, Japanese antique shop that he runs with Irene. Irene, who I think they really mischaracterized in that movie. She's very much the, like, delicate damsel who can't really protect herself, which is a bummer because she was like a CIA agent in those NES games. She was using guns all the time. She was very much a tough character, but they kind of just relegate her to being, like, scared and kidnapped, that whole thing. But so Ryu kind of gets roped into the plot. The main instigator is actually Robert from Ninja Gaiden 2. He apparently survived, and he has a girlfriend who is working as a reporter. Robert is a private investigator at this point. He left the army or whatever it was that he was doing into. I don't remember exactly what his role was. But so she hears about this scientist who announced, like, the cure to cancer. He's holding a press conference. She thinks something's fishy about it. She enlists Robert and Robert's friend, who I'm not remembering the name of, to help her investigate. This might be... Oh, wait, no, there's the enemy. They go to, like, the laboratory, I think? Or maybe the guy's house to investigate the guy who invented this cure to cancer, and find out that he's doing human experiments. He's got, like, some literal monsters in his closet. And Ryu's there too. He was separately investigating because he got, like, a psychic flash telling him where to go for some reason. There's this, like, little girl in it, and he detects that she's in danger, so he goes there to investigate too. And so they figure out, okay, this guy is doing some evil shit. Ryu tells the reporter lady, hey, don't do a story on this. I need to take care of this. She does not know Ryu is a ninja. Only Robert seems to know that. There's a scene later on where Robert's like, hey, we went through Ninja Gaiden 2 together, man. You need to tell me what's going on. And he's kind of elusive about it. He breaks up with Irene because he's, like, worried about her getting hurt, which, again, feels very mischaracterized compared to how she was in the NES games. Then Ryu goes to go fight the evil scientist. Robert and his girlfriend and his buddy separately decide they're gonna go, because also Irene gets kidnapped, and I don't even think Ryu knows that when he goes. It's just like Robert and what's her name see her get kidnapped, and so they go. And so they all go. It's a bunch of, like, weapon shootouts with Robert and his buddy. At one point you think his buddy's dead, but he ends up being fine at the end. Okay, we got story again. Oh, never mind, just a boss fight. I guess this is those, like, 3 guys in the trench coat from the arcade game. But yeah, so they all go to the bad guy's hideout. Ryu goes to confront him, at which point the real villain is revealed, which is this guy who had been, like, his partner in college. The reporter lady actually talks to him earlier in the movie. And he reveals he kidnapped the guy's daughter, which is the girl who Ryu kept seeing. And the whole thing that's going on is basically he got the body, part of the body of Jackie-O from the first game. Alright, we'll pause for this. Or Troust Ryu. Yeah, spell check doesn't happen at the prototype phase. But so, back to the OVA. The real guy reveals himself, shows that he kidnapped the other scientist's daughter, kind of forced him to make the human bioexperiment monster things. And it's all in service of using the body of Jackie-O in pair with, like, his evil spirit. They have his spirit. They're very vague about it. They're like, oh, when Ninja Gaiden happened, I was recording the data and I recorded his spirit, and it's not very clear what the hell that even means, but... So he has the body of Jackie-O, the spirit of Jackie-O. He's gonna do it to turn himself into a big evil monster, you know, the thing villains love to do for whatever reason. And then Ryu just fights him, and he wins. And then he gets back together with Irene. And then there's like a weird sequel tease where the daughter of the scientist who they kidnapped, she like does like an evil laugh or something, and it's shown that she has the bone of Jackie-O. But then it just cuts to credits, and it's not like there was a second OVA or anything, so that's just like a cliffhanger forever. And I don't know if the OVA is canon. Again, it's weird that Robert's alive in that, because I'm pretty sure you see him like bleed out in Ninja Gaiden 2, but nothing in the series has ever gone beyond Ninja Gaiden 3 anyways, so it's not like anything can contradict it. Yeah, the OVA was like okay. It's occasional bits of action. Characters are pretty bland. Great style, because it's like, you know, prime early 90s anime. And has a pretty, like, synthy soundtrack. No, like, remixes of any of the Ninja Gaiden soundtracks, at least as far as I could tell. But maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. Like, if you're a super fan, it's worth checking out, because it's not even that long. It's, like, 45 minutes, but, you know, not super interesting outside of that context. And again, I wish they had not done Irene so dirty, because she can handle a gun. She doesn't need to be, like, cowering in fear when a couple grunts show up. Also, you see Ryu in street clothes at a few times in the OVA, and that feels really weird to see him in just, like, jeans and a t-shirt. He does wear the ninja outfit at a few times, although it doesn't have the hood. It's like basically like this, but without the hood on, so you can see like his hair and his eyes. He does have like the headband though. They flipped this sprite on accident? What is that supposed to say? Like, it looks like it says Opus backwards, but I don't even know why I would say that. Yeah, so I gotta say, this prototype, not super interesting. Maybe they could have fleshed out like the moveset more, but if I'm playing a beat 'em up, I need some kind of grab move. It just feels super basic without it. You know, I'm just doing this basic punch strike on every single enemy. And then occasionally using like the health draining special move. Does this first hit not even do damage? Is it like only the ender? I think I'm just wasting time doing like loops on them. I would not get a trademark tattooed on my wrist for a goddamn company I worked for. Maybe that's why I'm unemployed right now, though. I know it's unfinished, but I love seeing that incomplete portrait of him just kind of like slowly pan across the screen. So I maybe want to like die here because at some point I'm gonna get a game over and I don't know if they have like continues functioned in. Although we can just skip all the way back here with the debug command, so really it's fine. I just don't want to get super long into like a long stage and then have to redo that whole stage so I only had one life. In fact, let's just go ahead and test this right. Oh, you can't even jump off that. There we go. Continue. That do? Okay, you just start the level over. I guess that's the use for that, is you get them, you can kind of bounce them to the ledge and then throw them into the pit. But I think like one combo would have killed him anyway, so I don't know how useful that really is. Oh, I totally forgot I found this move. Oh wait, no, this is just stand still and hit the button. Okay, never mind. Get a little forward momentum off of that, so I guess that's a reason to use it versus the like breakdance thing. I don't know if you can even hit these, like, guys on the plains. It might just be like a depth issue. Okay, that hit him apparently. It's gonna come a point where those guys are gonna show up and I'm not gonna have health to deal with them. I love this tiny diagram right here of a guy doing a drop kick on another dude. But it's like 12 pixels, so it just looks like he's laying down. How much health does this guy have? Jeez, I thought that had invincibility frames. There we go. Bet my last shuriken that I can't throw in this video game. Classic elevator level. Very Streets of Rage 2. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised nobody did like a proper pass at this either. Sure. This seems like something somebody would have done as like a pet project, but the only hack I could find was the one to fix the controls. I don't know if this spear twirling animation can even hit me. Oh, hell yeah, now we're teching in here. I guess Dead or Alive would have been more appropriate. That's crazy. So they, like, people homebrew ported the arcade game to Sega Saturn? Is that what you're saying? So that's pretty wild. God, I have not played that or X-Men arcade game since probably back when it came out on Xbox Live, like 15 years ago at this point. Been so long since I heard that Colossus scream. Well, I meant port in, like, more of a generic sense, but yeah, they would have to recreate it from scratch. That is really wild to do if you aren't, like, working with the source code or anything. Just having to remake the game. Now we're here. Okay, that time I continued and I just got back up on the spot. Maybe this counts as the start of the level. Yeah, it's frustrating how much more the community cares about preservation than the actual companies who own any of these things. There's so many cases where fans are either preserving entirely on their own or they're like taking broken ports. Oh, it's the final boss from the arcade game. Or like taking broken ports and fixing them up when the developers aren't. Like, I'm all for supporting official releases, but so often it feels like you have to look elsewhere if you actually care about the thing being done properly. This is significantly easier than he is in the arcade game. Although I did kind of get the pattern down for him on my second run of it. I wonder if I even need to move back or if I can just stand here and mash this button. Another spot I'm gonna have to just skip forward. I think that guy died, but he was off screen, so I'm not sure. It's a bummer how few fighting games were on the N64 when it was the one that shipped with a 6-button controller. It's the Saturn... Or did the default Saturn controller have 6 buttons? I don't remember if that was an analog controller thing, or if it was the default. Alright, this seems to be stuck, so gotta skip here. I guess one issue with the N64, and maybe Street Fighter EX2 would be less of an issue since it was 3D, but I know for like 2D games, just getting all of the sprites onto the cart was an issue. Like if you look at Mortal Kombat Trilogy on N64, it plays super messed up because they had to cut a bunch of animation frames, but didn't adjust any of the attacks themselves to accommodate for that, so just every move in the game is like super safe because it comes out in like half the speed it does in the other disc versions. But for a 3D game like Street Fighter EX, you could probably get that running on an N64. Okay, yeah, as soon as I said it, I was pretty sure, like, oh wait, no, I think the Saturn did have 6 buttons from the start. I'm probably just thinking of the Dreamcast controller, where they went back to 4-face buttons. I really wish modern controllers had 6-face buttons. One of the companies should be brave and just bring that back. So we've had 4-face buttons, 4 shoulder buttons for so long. I think the world is ready for 6-face buttons again. And then maybe I'd learn how to play Street Fighter on a controller instead of using like a hitbox. I'm gonna run out of time here. Barely made it. Yeah, there's no reason you couldn't make like a fighting game for the N64. I just know in that case there were so many assets that they couldn't even fit it all onto the cart. Or maybe it was like they didn't want to pay for a larger cart. I'm not actually sure how big that game is in terms of file size. And then here's this lady. Oh. You've interfered. That is all I have to say to you. And you just stun lock him like every other enemy in the game, although there's no wall there, so you can't just juggle him as he gets up. Oh, please come back onto the screen. They screw this up by hitting him off screen. I think I put the game into an unwinnable state, which means I'm gonna have to skip this again. If you clean this up and like improve the AI a bit, this would be like a decent time, but as it stands right now, just very clearly unfinished. And then no credits yet, I guess, just takes us back to the start. All right, well that was Ninja Gaiden Genesis, the unreleased prototype. Seems like it kind of could have been decent if they finished it up, but unfortunately they did not. Let me bring out the next thing we're going to look at. All right. This is not cropped correctly. Great. Love OBS. Love when you open it back up and stuff is just in different positions for no reason. There we go. Also, I don't know why my webcam's up here. It was not when I made this layout, but we'll just deal with this. I'm gonna... Wait, is my voice coming through twice? I'm not. But now I'm double talking. I think I might be double talking, but I cannot. I guess I'll just have to pull the stream up real quick. So I'm seeing my voice twice on this audio. I think I might be double. That's great. All right, I need to make another audio source real quick. Okay. So I've got this video here of translated playthrough of Ninja Gaiden X. This was a cell phone game only released in Japan, and it was made to promote a port of the... Oh, I forgot to turn this down. Sorry about that. This was made to promote a port of the original NES Ninja Gaiden game to the cell phone, flip phone, you know, pre-smartphone. This is just a little, like, 5-minute thing. Ryu's dad, like, tells him he has to go through this trial. You get those shitty MIDI versions of the NES soundtrack. Yeah, I remember the PS3 port of Bayonetta was, like, abysmal. That doesn't happen so much anymore. I turn this down more because it sounds real loud on my end. I feel like outside of the Switch, where there's just such a massive power difference, you don't really see that level of bad port anymore. While we're doing this, I might as well fix my webcam. Oh, I put this inside the webcam folder for some reason. There we go. Move that over there. That's about where it should be. Yeah, we'll skip through this a little. Very much just a very basic Ninja Gaiden 1 level. Although they have, like, every enemy in the game in here. Seems like you got the rocket guys. I saw the little jumping imp dudes. You get to the top, you see Ryu's dad again. Then you have, like, a little boss fight with him. Yeah, just very basic. He barely has a pattern, although this isn't that far off from, like, how some of the bosses act in the NES game. Then your dad explodes. Now this is some MIDI I can get down with. You ever complain to your dad about why he taught you to be a badass ninja? Dad, why do I need to know how to shoot fireballs? And to be continued in the real game. That cell phone port, I don't know if the American one is the same, but apparently, because the first part, they were splitting it into chunks. I think only the first chunk came out, but the first part of the first Ninja Gaiden flip phone port did come to the West, and they apparently added extra levels to it. But it's a old flip phone game, so the controls are abysmal. Like, you could not crouch in it, because I think they mapped down to using Ninpo, because I think up was jump. I only looked a little bit into it. I couldn't find any footage of it, unfortunately. But yeah, a little bit of a bummer that's, you know, lost media, but it's on YouTube. Oh, and it is That was translated by Tomato, a professional translator, probably best known in the gaming scene, more so for being the fan translator of Mother 3. But he did that translation. Why can I not get this? Whatever. I'll leave this like this. OBS, constant nightmare. Now that that's over, I figured... Okay, I fixed it. I figured it would be fun to do a tier list. I put this together before the stream, just ranking all the Ninja Gaiden games, the 2D ones, just going through my thoughts. I thought that would be fun. And I also put the American and Japanese versions separate for the two that I did the Japanese versions, because we're going to add a separate tier here called The Americans Must Suffer. And this is where... Oh, I don't know how to use this website, apparently. Yeah. This is where the arcade version in the US and the NES version 3 are going, because these games are so ridiculously hard for no reason, because, you know, they wanted to make the US versions way harder. Ninja Gaiden 3, way more so than the arcade game. Like, the arcade game I did beat in a stream I had to make private because my bitrate just went crazy and eventually the stream died. It was a literal slideshow. Oh, I think I deleted D tier. How do you... Oh, okay, I see what's happening. There we go. All fixed. But yeah, so these two, you know, they're just needlessly harder versions of these other ones. But let's go ahead and rank the arcade game. I think I would put in B. Before streaming, I had a really negative opinion of that game, but going through it twice, first with the American one, second with the Japanese one, I came to kind of appreciate what it's doing. It's not like an incredible game, but there is kind of a flow to it. I enjoy the visuals, I enjoy the music, and if you know what you're doing and you're playing specifically the Japanese version where it's not super punishing on that last level, it's like an okay time. Kind of shocking that it spawned such a long franchise, but it's decent. Ninja Gaiden 1 for the NES, I think that is easily the top of S tier. Kind of the two I would put here are 1 and 2, and I would specifically put 1 over 2. 1 just has such solid level design. I feel like Ninja Gaiden 2 level design's a little bit weaker. I'm thinking of like that stage where there's a bunch of platforms in the air, kind of in like a stair step pattern, and you can get like knocked through them off the stage. I feel like in general, just the stage design was a little more annoying in 2, even though overall 2 is actually a lot easier than the first game because it does not send you back nearly as far as the first one. But the first one has, I think, better level design, better soundtrack. Neither story's like incredible, you know, it's an NES story, but I would put the first one over the second one there as well. The second one feels a little bit repetitive, like we're kind of redoing a lot of the steps from the first one. Ninja Gaiden 3 specifically for the Famicom, I would put in A tier. My big issue is just the Japanese version is so easy. It is not until you get to that last stage that it actually starts feeling like a Ninja Gaiden game in terms of challenge. Before that, you can just blow through it, which they tried to fix with this American NES release, but they just cranked the difficulty up way too high. So if somebody could make some kind of like middle ground between the Japanese and the US one, I think Ninja Gaiden 3 could be S tier with these other two. Great soundtrack in 3. I really like the different vibe it has. Graphics look really nice. One of the better looking games for the NES. Stories, unfortunately, kind of boring and weird. Just this like bioengineering dude. I already forgot most of what happens in that game. But overall, I would put that in A tier. The Game Gear game, I would almost put in D tier. I think I would put it in C tier, though. It's just very, very basic. Not a whole lot going on in the gameplay. You know, the enemies are very basic. You're just running from left to right. There's not really any real platforming up until the last stage where there's the weird like pillar gimmick where you gotta like slide to the right and then slide back so that the rock doesn't fall on you. And then you slide again, jump to the next pillar, do that over and over again. But up until that last stage, just not super interesting. And then it also does not have unlimited continues. So if you die on that last boss enough, you have to start the whole game over, which when you're replaying a game that is piss easy up until the very end, that can be really annoying. Ninja Gaiden Shadow, I would actually put bottom of A tier. I was pleasantly surprised by that one, but just solid level design for a Game Boy game. I enjoyed the little grappling hook gimmick. They had some fun level gimmicks, like the one where the lights kept going out. That elevator ride at the end where it's kind of an auto scroller, which usually is super annoying, but I found kind of fun having to like figure out which of these turrets do I want to take out, and how much do I want to save my Ninpo for that boss. Also, really great Game Boy renditions of the soundtracks. A little bit of a bummer that it basically has zero story, but you know, still decent overall. And then I don't know. This is definitely B tier, the Master System game. I don't know if I want it above or below the arcade one. I think I'll put it below the arcade just because the big issue with Ninja Gaiden for the Master System is that there is no cap on the Ninpo magic you can get. And so I got beyond 999 Ninpo on level 2 and then never ran out the entire rest of the game. You die, you keep it. You game over and continue, you keep it. And so you can very easily cheese any part of that game as long as you find the right Ninpo spell. Or actually, I don't even think that one had those spells. Megalvatron, like as a system or specifically in the context of Ninja Gaiden? Because the Master System Ninja Gaiden game is definitely not as good as the Ninja Gaiden trilogy. If we want to talk like hardware specs and stuff, then yeah, absolutely. But um, oh yeah, this is only the 2D ones, but in terms of 3D, I would probably put the Ninja Gaiden Black as my favorite game in this whole series. It's just such an incredible action game. But Ninja Gaiden for the Master System, definitely the best one that Sega made. And you know, still it's good, but it's not like great. There's just so many weird design decisions. All the weird platforming sections where you just have to use the screen clear to get through because like 4 fireballs will spawn pixels above your head, and even if you have like the right Nimpo spell, you just can't deal with them. But I did really enjoy that Master System game. It was just there was some things I could feel things I wanted them to change about it as I played. This I'm gonna since there's nothing going in D tier anyways, I'm just gonna rename this to unfinished. Like, this was the worst game we played, but it was the only one that never came out. So, that's not surprising. And then Ninja Gaiden X, that's not unfinished, but Ninja Gaiden X did not seem especially interesting. I think I feel pretty good about this. Yeah, I think this is where I want everything to be. Like, the Game Gear one's the only one I would say was kind of a bad game. And even then, like, I had an okay time playing the Game Gear game. Yeah, that's everything except for Ragebound, which comes out Thursday morning, and I will be back. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Mushra. I appreciate it. Yeah, I thought about doing the Ninja Gaiden trilogy specifically for 3 because it is based on the Japanese versions, so the difficulty is back down to the Japanese one. But the big issue with those, on top of just I don't like the way it looks, like they just kind of took the NES pixel art and added shading to it, and so it looks really weird. But also the music is super botched. Both the remixes aren't great, and there are certain songs that aren't even in Ninja Gaiden trilogy. Like they just didn't port them over and reuse songs from different levels. So if you are going to play the NES games, I would definitely say play the NES games and use that restored plus hack for 3 so you get the Japanese difficulty. Yeah, Ragebound is coming out Thursday morning, and so I will probably be back pretty much as soon as it comes out, probably a little bit after it launches. Oh, oops. Trying to adjust the Game Boy camera. The analog stick, I cannot figure out how to unbind for this thing, so a lot of time I end up bumping it and messing up the contrast on the webcam. But so yeah, Ragebound is coming out Thursday morning, and I'm going to be back Thursday morning to stream that. And at the end, I don't know if it'll be one stream or multiple streams. I'm not sure how long that game's going to be, but I'm super excited about it. And once we're through that, I will place it somewhere on this tier list. Thanks everyone who came by the stream. Really appreciate it. Mushra, Megalovatron, Nightmare Pilot. Really appreciate everyone who dropped by. Hope you have a good Tuesday. I did not forget what day it is today. It is Tuesday, not Friday. And I will hopefully see you guys on Thursday when the new game comes out. Peace.